Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about respiration, but in the second step. If you remember, the first step was related to the first part, which was glycolysis, and in glycolysis the result of the reaction was production of the pyruvate. So we had at the end of glycolysis two pyruvates. Let's see what happens to these two pyruvate molecules. And also just remember that the formula which we had in terms of production of NADH and ATP in glycolysis was 2,2. So remember 2,2 formula, because we are going to make another formula that makes you remember what's happening in the next step in terms of production of ATP and NADH. So when it is an aerobic respiration, means that the oxygen is provided and the respiration is happening inside the mitochondria. This formula shows 2 pyruvate plus oxygen, which ends up with carbon dioxide production with water molecules. Let's have a look at the summary of the reactions which is happening and the place of the reactions. So here is the glucose, the molecule that we are going to break down and release the energy. The first step is glycolysis, which is here. In glycolysis, we will have 2 ATP molecules production. This is first step 1. And then the reduction of NAD to NADH and NADH and H+. So this is what we have at the end of the glycolysis. And if you want to, this is the first step. And if you want to mention the number, so we have 2 ATP and 2 NADH at this stage in the glycolysis. Then we will have 2 pyruvate molecules. Each pyruvate molecule will undergo a series of reactions which is called Krebs Cycle or citric acid cycle. So both names are correct. There is a link reaction which is here. We are going to talk about what is this link reaction, which ends up with the production of acetyl-CoA. And this happens in the matrix of the mitochondria. And then acetyl-CoA will enter to the cycle which is called Krebs Cycle. Okay, so we have pyruvate and a link reaction which ends up with acetyl-CoA, and this acetyl-CoA enter to the Krebs cycle. And during these steps in link reaction, we have production of one NADH here, and during Krebs cycle we have the production of ATP, NADH, and another molecule which is called FADH. Okay, so this is what we are going to find out during step by step and how it's going to happen. In this slide, you can compare the electron micrograph with the animated or with the simple drawing. You will see a matrix which is inside the mitochondria, and you will see a membrane, the outer membrane, the inner membrane of mitochondria, and cristae, which are responsible for maximizing the surface area for the reactions. And there is an intermembrane space over here, and also the 70S ribosomes. And I'm sure that you remember what is this. This is the bar, and this is the reason that you can calculate the magnification as well. Here another annotations for the mitochondria, actually mitochondrion. So you can have a look at the inner membrane, outer membrane, and mitochondrial DNA, which is written by mDNA, different cristae for increasing the surface area, ribosomes, granules, and a matrix, which is inside an intermembrane space. You need to know the annotation and different parts of the mitochondria in the exam. Okay, this is the first reaction, which is called link reaction. It's very simple. In the link reaction, pyruvate or pyruvic acid, because it loses the proton or hydrogen, it becomes an ion. So that's why we can mention pyruvic acid to become pyruvate. This is a little more chemistry. Anyway, so we have pyruvic acid or pyruvate, which during the link reaction, what happens? Production of one NADH and release of carbon dioxide, and that's why this is called decarboxylation. So decarboxylation means they lose the release of carbon dioxide and production of NADH, and by adding the coenzyme, there is a coenzyme which will be added to this formula. We end up with acetyl-CoA. So this happens in the matrix, and the reason is called link reaction because it's a kind of a link between outside and inside the mitochondria by moving the pyruvic acid inside. So that's why it is called link reaction. So pyruvate becomes acetyl-CoA. Don't forget about this. Here is the same formula with a little more details. Pyruvate becomes acetyl-CoA. So I'm not staying in this slide and I move to the next one. Okay, here we go. What happens when the pyruvate or pyruvic acid become acetyl-CoA? So let's see what happens over here. You knew the previous stage. The previous step was before pyruvic acid, and you had 2 ATP and 2 NADH at this stage were released. Okay, so there was a 2-2 formula, as I mentioned before. And then we have 1 pyruvic acid over here. Just remember that from this stage, the production will be 2 pyruvic acid. So there will be another pyruvic acid which goes exactly the same. Which goes exactly the same cycle. So we have 2 Krebs cycle actually for to show, but here is only 1 Krebs cycle has been shown. Okay, because the production will be at the end of the glycolysis will be 2 pyruvic acid. So don't forget about that. So there will be 2 pyruvic acid, and it will undergo again another circle exactly the same as this circle or cycle or citric acid cycle. Okay, so let's see for this cycle. The pyruvic acid then in the link reaction I just mentioned in the previous slide will end up to, or will be converted to acetyl-CoA. CoA means coenzyme, and then this acetyl-CoA, by releasing the coenzyme A, will enter to the Krebs cycle, At this stage, there will be a 2-carbon molecule. Acetyl-CoA has 2 carbon molecule. This is the number of the carbon. When it enters to the cycle, it will attach to a molecule which has 4 carbon, and the mixture of these 2 carbon and this 4 carbon molecule will produce a molecule which is called citric acid. So that's why it is called the citric acid cycle as well. So it is citric acid, which is a 6-carbon molecule. And then step by step, by losing the carbon in the form of decarboxylation and the release of the carbon dioxide at different stages, and also reduction of the NAD to NADH in 3 other steps, and also production of ATP and FADH2. So in the different steps, we will have the production of these molecules as a form of energy storage molecules, which will go to the next step, which is electron transport chain. I'm going to give you a formula that you will remember how many numbers will be produced at each level or at each step. So let's make a telephone number. This telephone number has a code, the same as country code. This would be the glycolysis code. So the glycolysis code would be 22 or 22, and then we have the phone number for the Krebs cycle. This phone number starts from here, and let's make it the complete phone number, which includes 2 circles. So if we include 2 circles, then this NAD would be 2. So we have 2 NADH from here, because this is 1 and 1 here. So the total number of NADH at this step will be 2. The total number of this NADH here will be again 2, and here 2, and this ATP would be 2, double, and this FADH 2, and this NADH again 2. So at this stage, from in the link reaction, so we have a 2 NADH, and from Krebs cycle we have 2, 2, and 2, which is 6. So let's go for, because this first 2 was NADH and this 2 was ATP, we can make the same order. So in that case, that would be 2, 6. So 2, 6, 2, 2. That's all. So this is the phone number of the Krebs cycle. At the end, we will have like these numbers, and you will remember. So we have 2, 2 as a glycolysis code, and 2, 6, 2, 2 again. So this 2 means again 2 NADH, 2 NADH, again 6 NADH. Why don't we add up all together? Because we want to know step by step, so we don't get confused. So 2, 6 is 2 NADH at this stage, which is link reaction, 6 NADH over there, and then 2 ATP and 2 FADH. So the phone number for the production of NADH and ATP and FADH for the whole process from one glucose molecule would be 222622. That's all. Okay, that would be a kind of a phone number for you to remember. You can also remember in 1 pyruvate. I don't want to make you confused about that, but just remember, if there is 1 pyruvate, which is this one, then this 2622 would be 1311. Okay, so you can also remember this as like this one. So 1311 multiplied 2. either this formula or this phone number. Because this doesn't look like a phone number, that's why I chose to this font to to memorize. But you also have to make sure that you know what's going on, because this is 2-pyruvic acid. Here is the next slide. It is exactly the same thing that I was mentioning and I told you. I'm not going to explain anymore, but you can see that the numbers are here. But just follow our telephone number 222622. Okay, 222622. Isn't it easy? That's my phone number. I don't think you can find this telephone number anywhere in the world. Probably, where's the country code for 22? I haven't checked, let's see. But this is so cool, you know, it's just 4-digit number, it's so easy to take. So the rest of the explanation related to NAD and FAD is talking about the oxidation reduction and the role of NAD and FADH. These are molecules which will transfer their energy in the form of ATP in electron transport chain. So that would be the third step of the respiration. The first step was glycolysis, and then Krebs cycle, and the last one would be electron transport chain, which we'll be talking after finishing these slides. And here we go. There are 3 links over here. I have already pasted these links into your manage bag, and then this link, and then this link. So you can all use these links, which are in manage bag, to watch their respiration in Krebs cycle as well. I hope you enjoyed the slides and my explanation. Thank you.